Welcome back to the Oregon Statewide Assessment System training modules for the 2021-22 school year. This is the ELA and Mathematics Summative Assessment module, which is required for all district and school test coordinators, as well as ELA and Mathematics test administrators. The topics in this module include a brief update on Oregon's statewide summative assessments in both ELA and Mathematics for the 2021-22 school year, scheduling for ELA and Mathematics assessments, appropriate administration of the ELA and Mathematics assessments, key elements and features related to online testing, and available resources. References to specific sections of Oregon's Test Administration Manual and the Oregon Accessibility Manual are included within slides where applicable. These resources are also hyperlinked at the end of this presentation. We encourage you to bookmark these in your browser for future reference, as well as the ODE Student Assessment homepage. Before we begin, here's a helpful list for your reference of acronyms that you will find in these slides. Topic 1, ELA and Mathematics Updates. This section provides educators with a brief update on any changes to the ELA and Mathematics summative assessments for 2021-22. The English Language Arts Summative Assessment will retain a shortened blueprint for 2021-22 and beyond. The ELA Computer Adaptive Test, or CAT, consists of approximately 24 to 25 items. The ELA Performance Task, or PT, has returned to its original design of one research item and one full write. Additionally, narrative writing will be removed from the PT. In all grades, students will be assessed in the ELA Performance Task on the writing purposes of either informational expository or opinion argumentative. Please note, the multiple genres of narrative writing, personal narrative, realistic historical narrative, imaginative, etc., should continue to be assessed by educators at the local level. Student testing time is estimated to be between 3 hours 45 minutes and 4 hours in each grade across both the CAT and the performance task. As a reminder, the following change and update occurred during the 2019-20 test administration. The Oregon Department of Education has expanded the use of text-to-speech for the ELA performance task as a designated support. Test administrators will be able to set text-to-speech settings for the ELA CAT and ELA PT tests differently. Student test settings in TIDE will be broken out into two columns for the ELA CAT and ELA PT. Again, this expanded use of text-to-speech applies only to the ELA performance task. This slide details the difference in text-to-speech between the ELA CAT and the ELA PT. For the ELA CAT, text-to-speech for stimuli refers to the reading passages associated with Claim 1 reading. This support is only selectable as an accommodation for students whose need is documented in an IEP or Section 504 plan. For more information, please see Table 2.5 of the Oregon Accessibility Manual. For the ELA PT, text-to-speech for stimuli refers to the reading sources embedded in the ELA PT associated with Claim 4 research and Claim 2 writing. This support is now selectable as a designated support. For more information, see Table 2.3 of the Oregon Accessibility Manual. As an important note, inappropriate or undocumented use of text-to-speech for the ELA CAT will result in a test impropriety and an invalidation of the student's test. Oregon's summative assessment in mathematics will also retain a shortened blueprint for 2021-22 and beyond. The Math Computer Adaptive Test, or CAT, consists of approximately 16 to 18 items. The Math Performance Task, or PT, has returned for 2021-22. Student testing time is estimated to be between 1 hour 30 minutes and 2 hours 30 minutes in each grade level. Finally, certain math manipulatives are allowed as non-embedded designated supports in 2021-22. Manipulatives are widely used during math instruction as concrete tools that help build a deeper understanding of more abstract concepts. Making them available for use on students' summative assessment creates a testing experience that more closely aligns to their learning environment, and the use of these tools creates more alignment with Oregon's math standards, namely Math Practice 5. An allowable list of manipulatives, along with images, is published in Appendix F of the Oregon Accessibility Manual, along with a process by which additional manipulatives can be requested for inclusion. Some of the administration requirements include that manipulatives must be provided to a student in a bag or container, pre-sorted or organized, before the assessment begins. To minimize distractions for other students, manipulatives must be kept at the student's testing area throughout the test session. Also, students may not be coached on the use of manipulatives or prompted to use them at any time during the test. The full list of Table 2.4 of the Accessibility Manual includes requirements for administration. Please note that the use of manipulatives not on the allowable list and/or not following the administration guidelines will result in a test impropriety and the invalidation of a student's assessment. Topic 2. Scheduling. Attention to scheduling ensures that students have sufficient time to complete both the ELA and mathematics assessments. District test coordinators are responsible for setting and managing any school-level test windows to ensure that every student is appropriately tested. In grades 3 through 8, the test window for ELA and mathematics opens on March 8, 2022. Due to the fact that this date is later than the historical opening of the test window, the 66% instructional time rule no longer applies. The high school test window opens on January 11, 2022. This includes the window for 12th grade students who choose to participate for college course placement purposes, as well as 10th grade students who have completed advanced coursework in ELA and/or mathematics. As a reminder, the high school grade of accountability remains grade 11. One important clarification to note. For the purposes of reporting student participation in accountability calculations, every school will be held accountable for ensuring that all students enrolled on the first school day in May have been tested, regardless of the school-level test window. Students who enroll after the first school day in May will not be included in the school's accountability calculations. However, you may test them if they are within your local testing window. For more information about school-level test windows, please refer to Training Module 1 and Section 5.2 of the TAM. For clarification and recommended best practices regarding expiration periods, please refer to Section 6.4 of the TAM. School-level test windows help schools manage local testing schedules and resources for all assessments included in the Oregon Statewide Assessment System. From the time a student begins the CAT, they have 45 calendar days to complete the assessment. If the student does not complete the assessment within these 45 calendar days, the student's test will expire. The expiration period for the PT is 20 calendar days from first starting the task. Guidance and specific criteria for the school year test windows are addressed in Section 5.2 of the Test Administration Manual. Here are some guidelines and recommended practices for scheduling summative assessments in ELA and mathematics. The ELA and mathematics assessments should be given on separate days. Students should finish one before starting the other. Whichever is administered first, students should not have both the ELA and mathematics assessments open at the same time. It is recommended, but not required, that the CAT be administered first. Neither the ELA nor mathematics assessments are timed. Therefore, students should be allowed to continue working as long as they are making progress. As in previous years, ODE will provide Grade 12 ELA and mathematics assessment options for 2021-22. While 12th grade participation is not mandatory for accountability, districts should make the option available for those students who wish to participate for college placement purposes. The passage of Senate Bill 744 in 2021 has suspended assessment of essential skills through 2024, so 12th grade students will not need to retest for purposes of meeting essential skills requirements. ODE will also provide a 10th grade Target Up option. The option to take the 11th grade assessment is only available to grade 10 students who have completed advanced coursework in their respective ELA and/or mathematics content area. The decision to target up should be made with the student and their family. Participation during the 10th grade enrollment year is not required, even if students have successfully completed advanced coursework. If a 10th grade student meets the high school achievement level standard, their score will be banked and will be reported in that student's grade 11 year. However, if the student does not meet the high school achievement level standard, the student must retest in their grade 11 year or they will be counted as a non-participant. Topic 3. Administration. This section covers administration guidelines which ensure equitable access for all students. Here's a list of administration guidelines for the summative assessments in ELA and Math. First, ensure that the test administrator has activated the assessment for the correct content area. Second, all instructional visual stimuli, resources, and posters must be removed from the physical testing environment. And third, test administrators should have read the approved directions from the test administration manual before beginning the assessment. This list continues from the previous slide. Test coordinators and test administrators should ensure that all embedded designated supports and accommodations are set in TIDE for students who should have access. An embedded feature is one that is delivered in the secure browser as part of the test interface. An example of an embedded designated support is Spanish presentation for a student's math assessment. An example of an embedded accommodation is text-to-speech for the ELA CAT. As a reminder, accommodations require documentation in a student's IEP or Section 504 plan. Decisions around both designated supports and accommodations are to be made with the student's school support team, the student themselves, and the student's family. Similarly, test administrators should make available any non-embedded universal tools and/or designated supports for students who need them. A non-embedded feature is one that exists outside of the testing interface. An example of a non-embedded universal tool is scratch paper. An example of a non-embedded designated support is the use of math manipulatives. An example of a non-embedded accommodation is the use of a scribe. Finally, we offer a caution. Historical data shows that adult-initiated behaviors are the leading cause of reported test improprieties. Ensuring that all test administrators in your school and district are consistent in these administration practices will greatly reduce the risk of test improprieties and, at worst, invalidated student assessments. Scratch paper continues to be a non-embedded universal tool. However, please note that while scratch paper may be securely retained between testing sessions for the PT, it may not be retained for the CAT portion of the summative assessment. To retain scratch paper, test administrators must direct students to write their names or some appropriate identifying information on their scratch paper and then collect and inventory the scratch paper at the end of each test session. Retained scratch paper must be kept in a securely locked room or cabinet that can only be opened by authorized staff. When students have completed and submitted their summative assessment, all retained scratch paper should be securely shredded. One embedded universal tool available to all students is the ability for tests to be paused at any time. When a student selects the pause button on the screen, that student will get a warning message to verify they want to pause. If an ELA or mathematics assessment is paused less than 20 minutes, a student may review questions they have already answered. If an ELA or mathematics assessment is paused for 20 minutes or more, a student may not review or change questions already answered. If an assessment is active but idle for over 20 minutes, the system will automatically pause the test. For both the ELA and mathematics summative assessments, if a test is paused for more than 20 minutes during the CAT portion, the student will be required to log back into the student interface. After logging in, students will return to the item they were working on or the subsequent item if they submitted their response. Students will not be permitted to review or change previously answered items. There are no pause restrictions for the ELA and mathematics performance tasks. If a test is paused for 20 minutes or more, the student can return to the section and continue typing their responses. Please note, however, that students may not navigate between Segment 1 and Segment 2 on the ELA performance task. While noted previously, the introduction of math manipulatives into the testing environment presents administrative and logistical challenges that require consideration and planning. Some of these considerations are reiterated here, namely, manipulatives must be on the list of allowable manipulatives. They must be provided to the student before the test session begins, and they must be provided in a sealed bag or container. Students may not be coached in the use of manipulatives nor prompted to use them. DTCs, STCs, and test administrators should collaboratively plan effective and efficient procedures to support the use of math manipulatives. Topic 4 is Key Elements. This section covers key elements on the ELA and mathematics summative assessments in order for educators to know the different resources across these assessments. The ELA and mathematics assessments are adaptive, which means the question difficulty adjusts as the student works through the test, providing either easier or more difficult items based on incorrect and correct student responses. Students will interact with different items such as multiple choice, where a single correct response is required, multiple select, where multiple correct responses are required, hot text or text highlighting, drag and drop, and matching tables and other table interactions. Some items are technology enhanced or enabled to allow students to enter an equation or create a graph. For more information about item types, please refer to the Resources section later in this module. Oregon's summative assessment in ELA combines 4 elements, or claims, of English language arts into one test: reading, writing, listening, and research. Students will receive an overall composite score, as well as claim scores for reading and writing. As in previous years, listening items will require each student to have headphones. Students at all tested grades will be required to participate in a performance task which will require them to write an extended essay. Check the Oregon Accessibility Manual for specific allowable supports. The Oregon Statewide Summative Assessment in Mathematics is created around a blueprint that combines 4 claims into one test. Claim 1 is Concepts and Procedures, Claim 2 is Problem Solving, Claim 3 is Communicating Reasoning, and Claim 4 combines modeling and data analysis. Please note again that the performance task has been added back to the statewide summative assessment in math this year. In 2021-22, students will receive an overall composite score and a Claim 1 score. Schools and districts will still have access to claim and target level data for program evaluation and instructional planning. And as with ELA, please check the Oregon Accessibility Manual for specific allowable supports. Desmos calculators continue to be an embedded support within some mathematics items in grades 6 through 8 and grade 11. In grade 6, a 4-function calculator is available. In grades 7 and 8, a scientific calculator is available, and in grade 11, a graphing calculator is available. More information about the specific functionality of these calculators can be found on the Desmos website at www.desmos.com/testing/Oregon. Note that Oregon's summative assessment in science uses the same embedded calculators as those found on the statewide assessment in math. For 2021-22, as in 2020-21, the keypad styling has changed on all embedded calculators to better match the interface currently available on Desmos.com, as well as to incorporate additional accessibility features. You can see in the images on the screen that the number pad has been moved closer to the backspace and enter keys, and coloration has been added to the enter key. Common entry tools such as fraction and percent have remained on the right-hand side, while other functions have moved to the left-hand side. This slide is a reminder of the many updates to the embedded calculators that were released for the 2020-21 summative assessment. The scientific and graphing calculators include a keyboard shortcut for finding a cube root. The graphing calculator includes two new functions: a 5-number descriptive statistics function, which quickly finds the minimum, first quartile, median, third quartile, and maximum of a list of numbers, and Spearman's rank coefficient, which is a more complex tool used to determine and measure the strength of the correlation between two sets of data. For 2021-22, the Grade 6 calculator includes a fraction button to allow for the easier entry of fractions and mixed numbers. There are also a few accessibility updates designed especially for the blind and visually impaired community, the largest of which is audio traces on graphs. None of the calculators include a fraction to decimal conversion, nor does the graphing calculator include the zoom fit function. While these appear in the calculators on the Desmos website, they can present construct violations for some math assessment items. For more information on these new functions, please visit help.desmos.com. To practice using the testing calculators, visit desmos.com/practice, or utilize the sample and training tests provided in the Oregon Statewide Assessment System. Check the Oregon Accessibility Manual for other specific allowable supports. One final key element of Oregon's statewide assessment system is data access. As a test administrator, you do have access to summative assessment data through the Centralized Reporting System, or CRS, found in the OSAS portal. In 2021-22, CRS replaces the online reporting system for all historical and current summative data. CRS has housed interim assessment data since 2018, so this change streamlines all data access to one platform. CRS provides educators access to individual student-level results as well as score reports. Summative assessments allow districts and schools to measure the health of their teaching and learning systems. Score reports allow educators to view aggregated results at the overall level, claim level, and target level. Target reports show the performance of groups of students on specific assessment targets rather than simply an overall picture. As such, target reports are vital tools for districts and schools to use in better understanding the strengths and opportunities within their system. Both district testing coordinators and test administrators have access to these reports and can use them in their collaboration and professional learning. DTCs may also choose to grant a district report viewer or school report viewer role to additional educators in your district so they can access these reports without also being able to create test sessions. Topic 5. Resources. Our final topic to share is resources to adequately prepare teachers and students for the summative assessments in ELA and mathematics. There are two different practice tests available through the OSAS portal. First is the training test, which is aligned to grade bands. Training tests include 6 to 9 questions and are designed to allow students to try out embedded tools and supports, as well as to interact with each of the different item types. In ELA, training tests are available for grades 3 through 5, grades 6 through 8, and high school. For math training tests, available grade bands are grades 3 through 5, grade 6, grades 7 and 8, and high school. The second is the sample test, which is aligned to specific grades. Sample tests provide students and educators a look at the grade-specific operational assessment. Sample tests include approximately 30 items that vary in difficulty. Scoring guides for the sample tests are available on the OSAS portal under Resources. Both training and sample tests include all embedded universal tools, designated supports, accommodations, and language supports. To most effectively use training and sample tests, it is helpful to consider their purposes. Use the training test if you want to familiarize students with how to navigate the test, including universal tools and embedded supports. Also, use the training test to help students learn how to interact with each of the different item types. The training test should not be used to look at grade level content or items at the appropriate level of difficulty. To do this, use the sample test. Use the sample test if you want students to see grade level items and practice responding to those items, or you want students to experience items across all claims. Several documents outline the structure of the Oregon Statewide Assessment System for ELA and Math. Links to access these resources are provided at the end of this slideshow. Educators should spend time looking at these materials to help inform how they prepare students to be successful on the summative assessment. Test blueprints indicate the number of items included on the Oregon Statewide Summative Assessment for ELA and Mathematics, how the test is scored, and the depth of knowledge intended to be used by students when answering items. Content specifications list all assessment targets within each claim, as well as the ELA or math standards aligned to those targets. Item specifications provide task models and appropriate stems for each item type and are broken out by grade level, claim, and target. A helpful new tool is the Content Explorer, which is available at contentexplorer.smarterbalanced.org. This is an optional point in the required training to pause and discuss the questions provided or a locally developed set of relevant questions. If you would like to pause, please do so now. This slide contains a list of linked resources that have been referenced throughout this training. First, the OSAS portal links to all components of the assessment system, including training and sample tests. Second, you can get more information on assessment blueprints, test design, academic targets, and the number of items from each claim by visiting the ELA and Math assessment websites. Finally, the Test Administration Manual and Oregon Accessibility Manual provide technical support and guidance for districts, schools, and educators. This concludes the required ELA and Mathematics Summative Assessment Training module. On behalf of the entire assessment team at the Oregon Department of Education, thank you for your time and attention.